This is a crazy story. All these stories are crazy, unfortunately. But I'm going to try to keep it clean as always. All right, so the first time I ever saw or recognized or understood what yoga was around 2000. Okay? I was watching TV, and guess who I saw? Russell Simmons. Now, Russell Simmons, hip-hop icon. Well, you know who Russell Simmons is?
Sounds familiar.
See, look at this. See, at 22, folks are like, I don't know who Russell Simmons is. See, it sounds familiar. It's okay. It's okay. Russell Simmons, hip-hop icon, founder of Def Jam, right? Also, quite honestly, in a lot of hot water right now. Multiple rape and sexual misconduct allegations. But this guy was really the first person I ever saw do yoga, right? I'm from New York. And so I saw him on TV. It was an interview. He was in a yoga studio, Upper East Side in New York. And I'll never forget watching this thing. Like, he had real tight leggings on, like jeggings, almost like I have on today. It's crazy. But at that time, I was like, what is going on? It was, looked very stale. It looked very elitist, quite honestly. It was... Russell Simmons was the only male in the class. It was all women, all white women, and the poses or the postures looked to be just like stupid to me, okay, watching this. It was so foreign that I put in my mind yoga weird, right? That's how I equated it. Yoga is weird. It's not for me, definitely. I kept that in my mind for 15 years. Every time I saw yoga mentioned, I was like, that's weird. That's not for me, right? 15 years goes by, and we move here to Washington, D.C. And my wife was like, can you pick me up? And I said, yeah, where are you at? She said, oh, I'm at my hot yoga class. I said, hot yoga? That sounds a little interesting to me. Hot yoga. So I go down to the studio. She gives me the address. I walk into the first door, and then now I'm entered into the studio, right? I see a second door where the class is going on. First, the room is all like steamed up. I could see this like steam coming through the door. I look in the class, and it's half men in the class, half women. I could tell by the way they're dressed. It's not, the upper crests, social elite. It's everybody in the room. The postures and the poses that they're doing look to be difficult and strenuous to like really create, really stretch them out. And they look to be having a difficult time, but yet look to be at peace at the same time. I was intrigued. I didn't want to admit it. Like, so my wife came out, she said, you want to try? I was playing it cool, like, nah, I don't want to do that. It's yoga. But in my mind, I was like, but I want to do that, though. I really want to do that. But I've never done it. In my mind, I want to get involved in this thing called yoga because now I feel like it's accessible. In my mind, it's really cool. It's beyond cool. And I understand now the massive benefits that come from yoga, mental health benefits, career, right? Family connections, right? My two boys want to do it. So today's episode is about you teaching me about what is this thing called yoga, right? How can I create a successful practice of yoga? And it's not just me. I know there are many people listening who perhaps are in that same position that I am, who haven't yet started yoga, or maybe they have. They've been in it for 1 or 2 years, but they just don't feel like they're getting the benefits from it. And that's the reason why I've invited you here today. You two, I believe, are the two best guides on the planet to help me understand this thing called yoga. So, if you could, how we introduce ourselves here is your name, where you are from, and then what you're passionate about. But then let's just add a bonus, and that is, why are you passionate about yoga, right? So you could also have other passions, but then why is yoga something that you're clearly passionate about? Ladies first.
So my name is Faith Hunter, and I am a yoga and meditation instructor. I'm originally from, this is going to be so funny, I'm originally from Grambling, Louisiana.
Grambling? Where the school is.
Where the school is located. Okay. Yeah, there's actually a town there. So that's where I'm from, really small town in Louisiana. I'm super passionate about life. And being fully submerged in it. And when you asked that question about what are you passionate about, I was like, oh my God, there's so many different things, from like music to movement. Like those two things have always been a part of my life. But that gave me the ability to experience life in so many different forms, because I grew up in Louisiana, but by the time I was 15, I had my passport, I traveled, I've been around the world, and movement, because I was a ballet dancer and a modern dancer, and just being in that sound vibration gave me the ability to travel and experience things. I'm super passionate about the practice of yoga because it plugs me in to my life in a much broader way. Okay. It's like we know, we'll get into this, but we know that there are challenges and difficulties that are going to rise up in life. But this practice fortifies me and gives me the strength and the ability and the inspiration to live the life that I desire.
Wow. Yoga does all that for you.
Yoga does all that for
me.
And so much more.
I got to get on this thing, man. I got to get on this wave. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Faith, for being here. Q.
My name is Quentin Vennie, from Baltimore, Maryland. What am I passionate about? I liked your answer, Faith. But for me, I think I'm most passionate about creating opportunities and elevating experiences for individuals that come from underrepresented, under-resourced communities like the one that I come from in Baltimore. Growing up, my mother did a good job at protecting me from the identity of poor. But as an adult now, looking at things in retrospect, there were a lot of missed opportunities. There were a lot of moments where if I had the necessary resources, things could have been different. So I've dedicated a lot of my life and my effort and energy into being able to provide, whether it's educational resources, academic resources, financial resources to children, to youth specifically, that wouldn't ordinarily have access to it.
Okay.
Why am I passionate about yoga? Yoga is one of the modalities in what I consider to be my trinity of wellness. Yoga saved my life. Yoga found me when I was in the pit of severe prescription drug addiction. After I had attempted suicide multiple times, after I had survived an accidental overdose, yoga found me and it reintroduced me to who I was as a human.
Wow. But yoga is a powerful thing. Oh my God. See, this is where you have to help me. Okay. This is going to sound basic, and excuse me if I'm asking questions that you guys are like, what? What is yoga? Right? And the reason why I say that is because I distinctly remember watching my good old BET, and I saw some trap yoga going on. And then I remember watching, I forgot what I was watching, some documentary, and there was like this baby goats climbing on. No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Goat yoga.
Goat yoga.
Yeah,
Goat
baby
yoga.
goats. Yeah, and they call that yoga. Like, what? Uh-oh, Faith is giving us the look already. What is yoga, and where is the line of what is not yoga?
Mm-hmm. So ultimately, yoga is union. And when you break it down, it's that connecting of the positive and the negative energy within you and around you. It's the yin and the yang. And when we think of we have the postures, we have the breath, we have meditation, we have relationships, we have just thinking of what people do. The practice of these different tools, from the breath to the movement to the meditation, these tools give us the ability to, again, kind of coming back to that experience of life. So yoga, right, as much as I might, roll my eyes, if the yoga practice that is the trap yoga or the goat yoga brings somebody into their greatest sense of self and at least guides them in a different direction, helps them become a better person, meaning that they're not going to yell at their kids today.
Right.
They are going to pause and breathe before they make a comment that's going to harm someone else.
Right.
Or getting into that state of personal destruction, meaning that they're going to decide, you know what, instead of when you think about Russell Simmons, instead of having, 5 drinks at the club, I know I have to go to yoga class tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm only have 2.
But you can at least have the drinks.
But at least you're going to have the drinks. But
Okay.
it's like the practice is shaped in so many different forms. There's not necessarily, because we shape all this right and this wrong, whatever is bringing someone into this space of being better. Because ultimately, that's what we want to be. We want to be better people. Even
Right.
individuals that have done what we would consider wrong actions, they at least want to be better too.
Right. So, but this is interesting. So you're saying any practice. All right. Let me make sure. Any practice that incorporates breathing that guides me to a place of being a better human being, a better person. That's yoga.
That's a technique. That's a form. That is. And so the thing is, we've shaped this we created this little yoga framework that's so narrow.
Right.
And it's like, oh, yoga is triangle pose, or yoga is tree pose, what you see on TV a lot. Or you have to wear a certain thing or look a certain way in order to practice yoga. No, practice yoga is showing up as yourself. Practicing yoga is breathing, even if you can't get out of the bed, like if you're incapacitated. You're breathing, and you're
Right.
putting this intention behind your breath.
Wow.
we-
RQ,
Yeah.
do you agree
No,
with this? 'Cause this is fascinating to me.
I do.
You do?
To expound on it, right? Like we've, as Westernized culture, we've created the identity of what commercialized organization business wants to monetize, right? Like, so we've taken this practice and we've created the stereotype of yoga, right? That it's one thing or another. And yoga is the way you show up every day, right? Like it's the way that you treat your children. It's the way that you treat your wife. It's the way that you treat yourself. If you can breathe, you can do yoga. Yoga is not limited to physical movement, right? Yoga is a way of life, So I agree with it 1,000%.
Wow. Okay. So, all right, hold on for a second. Because I didn't realize, and I think maybe I was putting those constraints over what I perceive yoga to be based on when I turn on television and see, people doing it. So can I then, not having practiced yoga, can I now create my own practice around yoga given that definition of, it involves breathing and it places me in a better state? A better place. I can create my own.
Yoga is as much as it's about unity, it's not necessarily about community necessarily. I feel like yoga is a very personal practice, right? My yoga practice is going to look different from Faith's. It's going to look different from yours. Once you start engaging, it's going to look different from everyone in this room, right? So yeah, what works for some may not work for all. There are certain lineages that try to take credit for being the founding body of yoga, and we created this thing. Yoga was created by Black and brown people. It was a practice that has been going on for a long time. I think a lot of the reason why so many people focus on the physical aspect of yoga, which is asana, is the physical component, is because that's the one that's most commercialized. Like that's the one that you can monetize. That's the one you can build business around, right? Like coming back to self and being honest and true to who you are as a human being. How do we monetize that?
Yeah. So this is interesting because when I was researching for you guys, because look, I don't research for everybody, but I was like, I got some yogis coming in here. I need to be on my A game. So I saw that when bodybuilding came into popularity in the West and physique became there was more and more importance placed on that, then there was a massive transition that happened in the yoga community. But I'm sorry, you call it, is it asana?
Asana.
Asana. So asana is the physical aspect, But then there's the breathing aspect, which is the core aspect, right?
That's the
pranayama,
first. That's the nothing can happen without the breath. I
Correct.
mean, we
Okay.
are born with the breath.
Okay.
And the last thing we have when we die, the breath.
Is the breath.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so there's the breath. So I don't need the asana, which is the physical, in order to participate in yoga. It's just an option.
You don't, but it's important, right? Like
Okay.
one thing that asana, the physical practice of yoga, taught me that it transcended from a physical practice to how I live my life. And it was one instance, where I was in chair pose. And chair pose, if anybody's ever been in chair pose, like it is a very uncomfortable pose. I have lower back issues, so like you got to shift your pelvis a certain way, and it was just killing me. I also have an anxiety issue. So I was stuck in this class and I was having a panic attack. And the teacher came over to me and she said to me that your reaction to pain does not change the fact that it exists. Your reaction to it determines the impact that it has in your life. Right? So essentially what she was saying is that I could make these noises, I could grunt, I could do whatever, but I had a choice. Either I was going to run from the discomfort or I was going to exist within the discomfort, find comfort in being uncomfortable. And I started to look and identify other areas where I may have run from discomfort, where that discomfort was actually intended for growth. Right. So the physical practice, if you have good teachers and good people around you, and the intention of the practice is genuine, it can teach you some things that transcend throughout the rest of your life.
Wow. All right. So this truly is opening my mind up to some idea. I honestly did not realize that the framework of yoga was actually so wide. I thought it was much narrower. So let me run down some myths that clearly, and maybe these are not myths. These are what I would consider to be cons that I've observed to why people don't participate in yoga. And I want you to
I wrote an article about that.
Yeah, like almost refute it or agree with it, okay? So the first one is this. And actually, I would say all of these are myths that I have held in my mind or may continue to hold in my mind, right? Number one, yoga is an elitist activity.
I don't agree.
Don't agree.
Okay.
I thought it was too. I thought yoga was a sex cult. I thought it was a weird sex cult. The first time I saw anybody do yoga, I was in a gym, right? Like I was like bodybuilding for like a men's physique competition, and I saw these group of white people walk in the room. They walked through the gym. They had mats under their arms. They had nothing on their feet. They went into a room. They closed the doors. It was dark. An hour later, they came back out. They were sweaty. They had a glow, right? They still said nothing. They had nothing on their feet. Like
Quentin was like, I want to be in on that.
I was like, no, I'm good. Like whatever y'all doing in there, you keep that, fam. But the perception in America is that yoga is elitist. It's something that only rich white people do.
Right.
It's not true.
Not true.
Okay. But why is that not true? I mean, give me some facts or evidence that it's not true.
Well, the first part, again, we've created this shape and form of what yoga is and then monetized it and created this whole separation. And then we're really great at separating ourselves in this country and world. But the reason that it's not elitist is because you don't have to pay to do it. You don't have to pay to breathe. You don't have to pay to pause. And everything's free. Like all the content, we live in a world filled with technology. All of the information around this practice is online.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn how to do a pose, you just type in yoga and how much stuff will come up. And so even just having that inquisitive mind of saying, you know what, I want to be a better person. I'm going to do this through the practice of yoga. You don't even have to buy a yoga mat.
Wow. You know what, Faith?
Yeah.
That was actually my number 2 point.
Oh.
You just took it. And now you just shut me down before I can even say it.
I can visualize things.
She sensed it.
I'm
Yeah,
so
it's the
perceptive
yoga.
there.
It's all that breathing she knows. Because number 2 is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, that it's expensive to participate. And I hear what you're saying. You're saying is that we don't have to have a yoga mat. We don't have to have these jeggings.
You don't have to.
I mean, as much as I love my yoga mat, oh my goodness, like I really don't need it.
Okay.
I can go in the park. I can be in my home. I can do my yoga in my bed. I can stand in my shower and do my yoga.
Right.
Because it comes in many forms.
Right. We could sit and listen to your podcast.
You can sit and listen to my old
Right.
school podcast.
There you go.
It's free.
There. So it's not expensive.
No.
And therefore it's accessible. But it's fascinating how there's that perception. I mean, I went to business school, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, yoga seems to be expensive to me, but it's not.
The commercialized aspect of yoga is expensive, right? But the practice itself is very accessible. I think the work that we're doing is essentially breaking down the barriers to accessibility, right? And those barriers a lot of times are derived from preconceived notions.
Okay. All right. So hit me with this one. For those of us that choose to go to class, and this is one actually that a lot of people messaged me about, and they wanted to bring this one up. That is that there seems to be a lot of bad instructors in the space. A lot of bad instructors. So in particular, actually, this is my man Marty from the UK. He asked, so how do we distinguish between a bad and good yoga instructor?
Oh my goodness.
How do we do that?
Wow.
It's really challenging especially if you're new to the practice, to determine whether or not the instructor is good or bad. The one thing that because I train yoga teachers and I've been training them for probably over 10 years, 15 years, something like that, is that a good instructor is defined by the one that is fully present with his or her students, provide quality instruction. And the instruction, when I say quality, that they are guiding the students in a way that is going to support them where they are. In behavioral science, it's like you meet them where you meet the person where they are. That's where the instructor should meet their student, because if they're so aware and in tune, they'll be able to see that this person has lower back issues. What kind of guidance do I need to provide that person? Or this person, they may not have told you that they have an injury, but you're so intuitive that you're observing and watching those bodies that you know exactly where the injury is, and then provide them with the necessary support. Another indicator of a really quality instructor is an instructor that's compassionate and kind, and that they are doing their practice, their personal practice. And so I find that the bad instructors don't have those qualities. And you may have to go through a couple of teachers in order to find that. It's hard to distinguish because there are so many yoga teachers out there.
Yeah, it seems like it is.
And even as a person that has yoga teacher training programs, and it's thing that's being pumped and teachers are being pumped out. It's hard.
So you both are agreeing though that there are a lot of bad instructors out here.
Yeah, we do agree with that. And for all the reasons that Faith just explained, it's becoming a system, right, where people are just pumping it out. There's, a lot of people aren't, like you said, living their practice, right? Like you have to live and breathe and embody what it is that you're looking to teach and impart upon other people, and you have a lot of people that are still operating out of a place of bias and prejudice.
Right.
You have people in the LGBTQ community that don't feel accepted, in yoga spaces. You have people of color that don't feel accepted in traditional yoga spaces, so there are a lot of stereotypes that still exist within the practice. And like Faith said, you just have to go through a few, in order to find the one. And once you found the one, you'll be good to go.
Got you. So just be ready to try, get out there. Know that there are a lot of bad eggs out there. You got to keep cracking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like it. All right. So now I'm going to go to another myth. This is one that I say is a myth, but William believes this thing. So I want you to help him. Because William, you look at William and you realize this is a buff guy. William is buff. Under that shirt right there, it's nothing but muscle. I'm talking about 1% body fat William has, right? It's all muscle. Right, William?
That's true.
Yes. He's like, it's true. So you got a lot of guys out here in particular, like William, that say, you know what? I only have an hour in my day. I need to do something that's going to help with my muscle tone. And I just don't think yoga is about, it's a lot of breathing, right? It's a lot of breathing, but it's doing nothing for his biceps.
That's not
I'll
true.
let you answer
Is that a myth?
That's absolutely a myth.
See, William, I told you it was a myth, man.
I was a gym buff. I was just a gym junkie, right? Like I'm 5'7", I weigh 152 soaking wet, right? At one point I could bench 285 easy, right? I was a gym junkie, and some of the most challenging things that I've done physically were not pertaining to weightlifting. It was in the yoga class.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Like the way that, I mean, and for people who do lift weights a lot, it's important for you to do things like yoga, because lifting weights actually minimizes your range of motion, and that can lead to increased injuries, which is one of the reasons why you see a lot of athletes starting to implement yoga regularly into their regimens. You got the entire New York Knicks that do yoga. You had the Lakers at one point that were doing yoga. Floyd Mayweather, participates in yoga. LeBron James does yoga.
Okay.
Right?
I'm doing it.
I mean,
That's it. That's all I needed.
it lubricates your ligaments. It helps to prevent additional injury. It elongates the muscles while also building that structural strength and foundation for everything else that you're going to do with your body.
Okay.
And then you combine the whole physical aspect with the mental piece. It's like not only are you building, strengthening, elongating your muscles, but you're building, strengthening, and even expanding your mind, which if you do practice sports or you're just living in everyday life, you want to be on point, you want to be sharp, you want to be intuitive.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Intuitive. This is the word that I will forever stick with you now, Faith. You were intuitive. Because every time you say something, I'm like, damn, that's the next point. Like it's like the next point. You just said the lifestyle. And that's exactly what I wanted to move to next, is the lifestyle. So we got these myths and cons out the way. All right. A lot of this is personal. All right. So when I think about yogi, by the way, what is a yogi? Yogi is someone who practices yoga.
Yogi is someone who embodies their practice.
They embody their practice.
I guess if that's the term you want to consider.
I mean, my father passed in 2004, something like that, and I always thought of him as a yogi.
Okay.
Well, first, he wasn't part of organized religion. He didn't believe in that. However, he was constantly teaching us to be kind to people, be open, explore this world we live in, and give yourself time to pause. And then because I was a dancer growing up, he was always like, listen to your body. It's going to tell you about everything. Listen to your body. And so it's like, then when I started practicing yoga, I was like, oh my God, my dad was right.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was a yogi.
He was
He was a yogi.
Yeah. Are you a yogi?
Yeah. I
Okay.
kind of consider myself that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you both look like yogis to me.
I'm pretty
Look like you embody your practice.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be a yogi. But I think part of me wanting to be a yogi is all of the coolness that I think also comes with being a yogi. Like, look at Q, man. Look at how he's dressed. Like, that's how I aspire to dress. Like, that's part of it, right? Also, Faith, you see your presence is just real, like, you're just mellow, right? If it actually sounds to me like you were smoking before you came in. That's how you sound.
Smoking life, baby.
Smoking life. But I want to be smoking life. That's what I want to be doing.
Inhaling it all.
I want to be inhaling it. So, but
I want to be smoking life.
But yogis, the yoga lifestyle, it seems to be one that is one of at peace, right? But, and here's the but, is that are there certain things you can't do? Like, for example, I remember someone telling me that they were going to a yoga retreat conference. We were actually at a bar. We were at a bar, and they said, I'm going to this yoga retreat. I'm trying to get my drinks in because once I get to the retreat, they're going to be looking at me sideways, if I'm drinking. Is that a thing in the culture that you can't partake in a little red stripe?
I think that's an individual choice.
It's an
individual?
That's
Okay.
not a law.
It's not a law?
No, not
All
to
right.
me.
Good.
No.
It's
Good.
personal. It's like you said, it's an individual choice and it's a personal choice. I choose. I mean, I love wine. Like, I really love wine. But over the past couple of months, I'm doing a really committed set of kriyas, which is another thing about action and cleansing. And so I'm choosing not to. So it's all a personal choice because
Okay.
that impairs me and I know what it does to my body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to be able to wake up in the morning, be sharp, do my breath of fire the moment I get out of bed. Well, if I'm impaired and I've had too many drinks the night before, then that's not going to give me the ability to be where I am.
Okay.
So.
But then you can, at a certain point, you could pick back up.
Yeah, if I
on the
choose
one
to.
if you choose to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might, when I go see my friends in Germany, because,
Just
like my
just
German friends.
breathe in life in Germany. That's a good place. Amsterdam is a good place to breathe in life.
You can breathe a
breathed in
lot of life in Amsterdam, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I have. That's my favorite place to breathe in life. All right, so now a big question that came up too was, we're talking about the lifestyle too. We also questions came up around at what point in the day do I practice what? Do I breathe? Do I do the asanas? For example, this one gentleman, another person in the UK asked, is the morning time the best time to practice? By the way, too, complete side note, but I thought this was a fascinating stat for me, is that on Instagram, I posed these questions. I said, I've got these 2 yogis coming in. What questions do you have? On my Instagram account, it is probably, I'm 80% followed by women, right? 20% are men, so very small percentage. Almost every question about yoga came in from a man. Yeah, I thought it was
amazing.
fascinating.
It's incredible.
And they were asking very specific things. Like, so one is, what point in the day should I practice? So this gentleman was waking up, and he was starting his practice then. But is there a particular time of day, or is that all independent based on your lifestyle, who you are?
I mean,
I think
it's lifestyle based.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a personal choice. I mean, I know for me, I love to do yoga in the morning, right? But then I also suffer with anxiety, and my anxiety is worse at night, right? So I have to adjust my practice according to how I'm living at the time,
Right.
What's impacting me, right? Like what's bothering me. It's a practice. It's yoga practice, not yoga perfect. So I don't think that there's ever, it's not like breakfast. It's like, where your body needs X, Y, Z in order to set the foundation for the day. But even if it is, even if you choose to do it in the morning, it doesn't have to be an hour and 15-minute session. You can do 10 minutes in your bed, as Faith was saying. You can, do 5 minutes in the shower, like whatever it is, just to get to unite your breath with your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just this, I'm going to go down a really spiritual kind of road right now. But typically, or I shouldn't say typically, there's a time like when the sun starts to rise, right? So it's like that 4 to 7 time period. It's called the Amravela, right? And it's that time where the sun hits this like perfect 60-degree angle. And so in the yoga sciences, or not even the yoga science, the spiritual sciences, that 60-degree angle really plugs us in our divine energy in tune with heaven and earth.
Okay.
So it's like the sun is hitting the earth at this perfect angle. At that point in time, this is one reason why people do practice so early in the morning, is because we are these beings that are so spiritual and connected that when we rise in the morning, we plug into our breath and our body in the morning time, we find the most optimal effect. Now, the Amravela also happens again, right, another 60-degree angle when the sun sets.
That makes sense.
So there's some people that are much more in tune with practicing in the evening, and that's fine. But it's like, if your lifestyle only gives you the ability to maybe do a 5 to 10 minute breath practice or find stillness first thing in the morning to set the tone of your day, perfect. And then maybe you go and get your asana, your movement practice on later in the evening. Or
Okay.
it's like, you know what, today that's not going to happen. I mean, you travel, I travel a lot, and it's sometimes I'm like, my practice today is going to be on the plane breathing.
But you're still
that's good
practicing.
enough.
That's good
and
enough.
That's good
enough.
because it's
Yeah.
yoga practice.
Practice.
Yeah, I like that one. So you just talked about the spiritual connection. Is yoga a religion?
No,
It's
Not at all. Not
It's
at
not.
all. No.
It's not.
it is not.
Okay. Now, just help me understand why it's not a religion.
Truly, religion is, I believe in a lot of ways that religion was created to be divisive, right? Religion was created to divide people from community, from understanding. You have, Jews, Muslims, then you have Christians, then you have Catholics, but we're all people, right? If you look at the studies of the Holy Bible and then you look at the Quran, the belief systems are practically identical, so I believe that yoga brings us back to self, helps us to be better human beings, and as a result, we're able to be better human beings to other human beings, to other creatures, to other, to other beings in general.
So yoga can work in conjunction with any religion that you, or if you choose to be or choose not to.
I believe in God, and but I lost faith in God when I was going through my pits of depression. Yoga brought me back to me, thus bringing me back to my belief, right? Because I had to remember that I was a product of God. So the minute I stopped believing in God, I stopped believing in myself. Or the minute I stopped believing in myself, I stopped believing in God. And yoga brought me back to self. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm religious. I didn't go to yoga for religion. I don't go to yoga and pray. I don't pray to the Ganesha statues. I don't pray to, I don't pray to any of that. I don't even own any of those things personally. But does that mean that I can't practice yoga? No.
So yoga then it's a spiritual connection. Right. That's how you're describing it to me.
That's how it feels to me.
It's a spiritual connection.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We are spiritual beings, and it's like what happens. Not only does organized religion divide, or what the religious practice has done is it's divided, but it's also a form of control. Yep. So if you have an organization or a structure that is controlling you, telling you that you should have shame and guilt around being human and all of your human emotions and human existence, then you're going to go and start practicing yoga, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I am powerful. I am divine. I am God incarnated, right? I am good. I'm compassionate. But this over here is telling me that no, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Man, I'm loving yoga more and more. I'm on this, man. Yeah. William, are you? Do you practice yoga?
I do not, but I've had some good friends who have tried to get me into it. And like you said, I lift. I don't really do a lot of yoga.
Yeah. See, that's why he looks like the Hulk. Because he just lifts all the time. But are you thinking about, are you genuinely thinking about starting yoga or yoga practice now?
Absolutely. I feel like, I don't know, just as you mature, like you want to start using your body differently. My joints, I'm only 22, but I can slowly feel my joints
starting to slow.
Yeah. But now I think this will really sell it for William, because William is a business man. Not a businessman. He's a business man. You know what I mean? And so I've noticed now, you're talking about LeBron and all these folks. I've noticed that there's a lot of people now who are beginning the practice of yoga in particular so that they will outperform at work, right? Outperform in their career. So speak to us about how yoga specifically helps in outperforming in our career. Because if you do that, William is in. If you could basically tell me that yoga will make him more money, he is practicing tonight. So how can we do that?
Okay, so I put it like this. Yogis of old, right? Especially within the Vedic tradition, yogis of old are the ones, think about, I'm just going to go and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to be in stillness, la, la, la. But what I believe is that through the breath, through the movement, because we do need that intensity, that physical activity, we are householders. We're the ones holding things down for ourselves as well as our extended families in some shape or form. This practice gives us the strength, the keen awareness of self, and also the fortitude to be creative, to show up 150% and be sharp and on point all the time. So it's like if you're taking care of your physical body, your nervous system is operating in a much more powerful way. Your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems are like really functioning in the manner that they should. So if And then all of a sudden your pituitary gland, I'm going to keep coming back to intuition. Your pituitary gland is like rapid and on fire, and
Yes.
you're like really plugged into not only who you are, but you can see like being like, because we have to project,
Yes.
right, in order to meet the demands of this world. So if
Yes.
we're projecting and on point,
Oh man,
I mean, why wouldn't a business person do it?
That's what it
I mean,
is.
and this is one of the reasons why, I mean, when I started practicing, I was like, oh, okay, this is helping me through some really challenging and destructive ways that I'm being. But then when I became an entrepreneur, I saw that this practice is expanding me and giving me the foresight to do exactly what I need to do and serve my community in a powerful way.
I just got to keep it 1,000 with you. Did yoga help you make more money?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there are
We're on
also,
this,
I'm
man.
not going to lie,
We're on
but there are
this.
also some practices out there where you can set your mental intention, do these practices to generate and be in this place of abundance, because it always comes back to what is the intention, and then you see it.
Yes.
You believe it.
You
I mean,
achieve
everybody
it.
understands,
Yes.
how to manifest.
Yes.
This practice has given me the ability and the belief that I can manifest. Coming back to that control, if someone has a tight hold on you mentally, you can't manifest anything.
Right.
Because you're stuck in that moment. You're stuck in your root chakra. But if you are really giving yourself the ability to rise up,
Right.
and believe that you have the power to shift and change the circumstances that you live in.
Wow.
And perspective, right? Like, I mean, to expound on that, I mean, I think she covered it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but-
first, round of applause. We need a collection plate on that one. I like that.
Bring it around.
I like that. That was good.
But gratitude, right? Like it shifts your perception of the space that you're in. I believe that when you focus, whatever you focus on expands, right? So if we focus our attention on the things that we don't have or the things that we don't like, then we'll continue to get things that we don't like, right? If we focus our attention on possibility, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not yet seen, right? If we can find faith and in gratitude and find the little things in life, the ability to wake up and breathe,
Right.
the ability to walk outside and see, right? Just the ability to touch and feel, right? We find more things to be grateful for than universally we will have abundance, period.
Yes. Is this why yoga is so important in terms of increased mental health? Is it it seems like it's the same vein.
Absolutely. I mean, for myself, I have struggled with severe anxiety, a panic disorder, depression, suicidal thoughts, addiction, violent tendencies at times, right? But having the ability to sit back and just take a breath, having the ability to be introspective and not reactive, shifts things significantly. I mean, you can even look at it from a scientific perspective, and I'm not a yoga scientist or a yoga theorist or a scholar in any way. I'm just a black man that's lived an interesting life. It has the ability to shift the way your brain functions, like literally shift the way that your brain functions. It changes your cognitive brain function. It shifts everything about the way you see life, the way you perceive trauma, the way that you process trauma, the way that, I can't even
But this is
describe.
interesting because you're not speaking about something that you read.
I'm
You're
speaking
talking
about something that I've lived.
This is testimony.
Dude, I'm a black man from the inner city of Baltimore. I sold heroin. I was shot at before I was 13. I've had attempts on my life, quite a few of them, right? I have undiagnosed PTSD. I have things like I can't go to a restaurant and sit when people are behind me, right? Like I have trauma, I was sexually assaulted as a child, right? But my practice enables me and provides me the ability to continue to move forward in life. Right? Like, I have every reason to just go and down a bottle of Hennessy and just say, screw the world.
Yeah.
You know, the world doesn't like me, but at least America doesn't like me anyway, right? So I've experienced a lot of things that would give me the right to just say, pardon my language, fuck it.
Right. But you're saying yoga saved you.
But yoga is one of the practices and the modalities that is keeping me here today. 100%.
Wow. Wow. Because it's shifting, continuing to shift how your brain functions and how you see life.
How you perceive life.
And the abundance that there actually is, that there is in life.
The possibilities that exist.
Okay.
The like you said, the abundance that does exist, the things that I or other people take for granted that other people don't have the privilege of, right? You know, yeah.
Yeah. So is there a particular, because there's someone listening right now that's gone through a lot of those things that you just mentioned, right? And what they're saying to themselves is, okay, all right, I hear you, right? This is your testimony. So now I'm really listening to you. But is there a particular type of yoga? Like, can I get out and just do this trap yoga or have goats walk on my back and will I be fine? Like,
I mean, if
what
you
do I
into
need
that
to
kind
do?
of thing.
Really? Like, what do I need to do? Help me out.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many techniques and styles and lineages of this practice. And if you're just starting out and you're curious, just whatever is guiding you with that initial class, show up.
Okay.
And
just do it.
Just do it. And it may not be the teacher that you love, and even if your first experience is not what you were like expecting, even sometimes I tell people, don't even go in with expectation, go in with openness. And just say, you know what, I'm just going to give this a try and see. And then self-assess and determine, okay, that felt good, this didn't, something triggered me. There, because we all have trauma in some shape or form, small T's, big T's. And so whatever is hitting you, then give it another try. Go to another teacher, explore the different styles, and then see what happens. I mean, it's like, for me, I teach a variety of things. I teach everything from hatha to like the flow and the vinyasa and I also teach Kundalini yoga, which is a whole different shape, form, and
that sounds complicated.
It is
I don't know what that is, but that sounds very complicated.
Well, we all have. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. You have to have us come back and talk about styles.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Things
really.
Like
this is like
when
Wu-Tang.
After a couple classes,
different styles.
After you start taking class, you start really get into it. Then you're gonna have like a whole nother list of questions.
But I can't wait. All right. I do have a question around styles.
Okay.
All right. But first, I have to hit you with one last but yet very important question, and this is going to push William over, okay? I'm telling you, you've already sold him. You talked about how it impacts his mental health. You talked about how it's going to make him more money, right? You talked about the muscle tone, right? He's sold on this. But there's one thing that could push him over the top.
I already know what it is.
You know what this is?
You
know what this is.
I think I know what you. I think I know where you're going.
All right. So if all listeners who've been listening to Better with Paul, they know that there's one problem that William suffers from, and he's told us about it. William doesn't perform the best under the sheets. He's talked about this. Wait,
I knew it was coming.
I'm not putting him out. I'm just saying.
That was not the discussion.
No.
So what did we talk about then? What were we talking about?
Well, it fits. We talked about maybe changing the style, or like the energy, because it was aggressive. We wanted to be more passionate. So yoga could help with that,
So in other words, you're saying that you want to pivot from your current style. His current style, his current flow is not working for him.
Okay,
with the ladies,
right,
his current flow is not working for him.
It's working.
Okay, it's working. Okay, it's working. He would like for it to work. To what would you say?
He wanted to be more effective.
He wants it to be more proficient, maybe.
Okay.
Better.
Okay.
Right. So can yoga turn his C+ game? Would you say? No, B.
plus.
Okay. Can it take
A+.
Can it take him over the top?
Oh, Okay.
Can yoga help him there? Because we have a lot of relationship experts come through, and what's fascinating to me is the significant number of issues that couples have around sex, especially as they climb in age. So, will yoga help with sexual performance?
I mean, I honestly believe that it does and it will. I mean, it's energy. And the practice through movement, through breath, right? We keep coming back to that. It gives us the ability to release any energy that may be trapped and stuck, regardless of where it is in our body. But also, again, it brings us this place of awareness. And so we're much more aware. Like, I don't want to get into the intense sexual aspects of it, but when we are with our partners and we're doing that exchange, because that's what happens. It's an exchange of energy.
Okay.
If you are breathing in concert with your partner.
Right.
Right. And I always, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go there. So before you actually engage in the act of intercourse, I always recommend to have a breath connection with your partner.
Okay. I'm with this. Are you taking notes, William, on this? This is
taking notes.
Okay.
So you want to have
connection.
a breath connection with your partner.
All right. Break that down. How do we get that?
So one thing I like to do is my partner would put his hand on my heart.
Okay.
And I put my hand on his heart. We close our eyes. We feel the heartbeat. So you have to create that's that passion and connection. All right. You're digging me. Yeah. And then allow your breaths to sync up.
Okay.
And
is this similar to Tantric? This is a little bit like Tantric.
Okay, so now we have to, Tantric is not just about sex.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
because you're not having intercourse at that point. It's breathing.
It's that the Tantric philosophy is that everything is divine. And so the act of relationship and connection and sex, right, that intercourse is divine, right, all aspects. But before all of that happens, you must sync up in unison with your partner. It's like, one night stands, you're like, boom, yes, that was exciting, keep going.
Right.
There's no connection there, but there was energy exchange, and sometimes the energy exchange wasn't the best.
Okay.
If you are connecting with your partner, that's going to deepen your connection out of the sheets.
There you go. All right.
And then that's going to make your partner even more attractive.
Yes.
You guys are going to be much more fluid in all aspects.
Yes.
And then you're going to be stronger.
Yes.
Yeah. You're generating energy.
But
you learn how to breathe on your own. That's why you're going to go to yoga. You learn how to move your body and be comfortable in your body. So then when you're with your partner, it makes... Yeah.
You're in tune with yourself, so it's easier to be in tune with someone else.
Got you. So what you're talking about here is hand on chest.
This is just one technique.
It's just one technique.
Just one technique.
But the bottom line is to get in sync breathing. That's the key. Yeah. Get in sync breathing.
And then there's no rush. When you're 20 something, everything has to go fast.
Yeah. See, that's his problem.
Patience.
That's his problem. Yeah. 1 minute man. That's his problem. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, you said something like that. 1 minute man. Yeah. All right.
I am Q and I endorse this message.
All right. Good. Okay. So now, all right. Help me. This is the final. This is the most important, right? Who cares about everyone's listening? This is all about self right now. So forget anyone is listening on this one. I realized through this conversation that there is a practice that I'm involved in, but I genuinely would like to go deeper in this practice. So I know that to form a habit, is roughly 66 days, depending on who you are. So I have told myself coming in here that I'm going to commit the next 66 days. I am going to commit to building a practice. But I would like your instruction right now on what I need to be doing over these 66 days. And I know this is going to help a lot of people because there's a lot of folks out here that want to build a practice. So what can we all do over the course of the next 66 days to build an effective yoga practice?
Oh my goodness.
Wow. I think,
and I'm taking notes on this one too.
I'm sorry. I think one of the first things is commitment, right? Commit to the process, right? Understand that throughout the course of the next 66 days, you're going to experience some discomfort. emotionally, physically, psychologically. There's going to be levels of frustration. There are going to be levels of, of incredible happiness, right? But know that it's a process, and you need to trust it. So commit to the process.
Okay. All right. Done.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what type of movement or breathing practice or meditation practice you choose. I think, along with that commitment is truly setting your intention around why you're doing this, because that's where the shift of the habit will happen, is within knowing that, I'm waking up, I'm committing to whatever I'm doing, and my intention is to whatever.
Okay. So then every day, so after I've committed to the process, I set my intention, and every day I should be reminding myself of what that intention is.
What that intention is, yeah.
Okay. All right. Done. I'll do that. So then what are you suggesting my practice should be? So, I'm cheap, so I don't want to spend any money. And I have a busy schedule.
Okay.
So what would you suggest I do?
You already do it with your affirmations in the morning, right? That's a good starting point. And, as something that Faith had mentioned early on, you go online, check it out. You pull it up. You can go to YouTube and find a boatload of yoga, of asana videos. So utilize your resources around you.
Okay. So my morning affirmations, and you're saying that works because I'm breathing.
You're breathing. You're already setting. You're setting the intention.
The intention.
Yeah,
Interesting.
with your
First thing in the day.
affirmation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm already a yogi, man. This is good.
Yeah. And it was one thing that I did at one point in time that was really challenging in my life. Even as a yoga teacher, this situation happened, but I needed to remind myself of who I was. And so my intention for that year, I wrote it down, typed it, and then I put it in different places. So not only when I woke up in the morning, I saw it first thing, and I was like, boom, that's thought, that's intention. I go in my refrigerator to get breakfast. My intention was inside of there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. In the bathroom, brushing my teeth, there's my intention. So even if you're not visually, or if you're not actually verbally reminding yourself and repeating that intention, give yourself the space to plug that intention in throughout the day. So in those moments where it is uncomfortable and there's that struggle and there's that discomfort,
then I have the intention.
you have the intention.
What are examples of intention, just so I know that I'm on the right path there? So is it, I just want to be a better dad, right? Or I just want to be a better listener, right? Or that's what you're talking about in terms of intention?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
for example, let's just use the dad one. So if someone wants to be a better dad, I would shape it in not only like I want, but I am, like in the present moment, that positive statement.
Speak things that are not as if they already are.
As if they already are. And so it's like, I am a great dad. And so if you're saying that repeatedly, right, and that's your intention for the day, then of course your interaction with your children, the choices that you make are going to be much more powerful.
Yes, I love it. What about frequency? Is the goal every morning? Because I'm doing the breathing and the affirmations in the morning, but I don't do the asanas. So when do I build that in? How frequently should I be doing that?
I would recommend doing it daily.
Daily.
If you have the space and time.
If you have the option to.
Yeah.
Okay. So daily, and it could be any amount of time.
Any amount of time.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you can allot.
Yeah. I mean, for example, my day to day consisted of like I woke up this morning, did 3 minutes of or really intense breathing practice. Then I'm like, okay, I know I have a full day. Go walk the dog. Then I was like, okay, get on the mat. That was like about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then I probably will go do something else tonight if I have space and time, or my practice may consist of something else. Right?
Okay. Do you recommend doing this with others? Because it's interesting. You were talking about earlier. It's not necessarily community, but it's more of a kind of self journey. But my wife she's practiced yoga for a bit. My 2 boys, 5 and 8, they haven't, but they're interested. Do you recommend me practicing with them, or should I go the 66 days first all alone?
I mean,
I mean, why not incorporate
Yeah.
your family?
Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a connection, and it's going to build much more strength and this sense of community, but true love and community with your family. Like it's established already, but that's going to bring you guys even closer together.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
not?
the practice itself is a selfish practice, right? Like again, but selfish from the perspective of it's going to look different, it's going to feel different, right, for each individual. But yoga means unity, right?
Right.
And it will definitely bring. I mean, I practice yoga and meditation with my kids, you know. So yeah, it'll bring you closer together. I practice with my partner.
That's
It'll
what
bring you
yoga
together.
means, unity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that either. Wow. Okay. Yeah. We were like, well, we didn't know that. Okay. So then.
And if you don't know,
Now
now you
you
know.
know.
Definitely. Definitely. So the next 66 days, first commit to the process. Next, set my intention, but speak it as it were already in existence, right? So I am a great dad, for example. Morning affirmation, so continue my brief morning exercise, which is really breathing. Incorporate a daily asana. Doesn't matter how long, just do it whenever possible. Include the family. 66 days. At the end of the 66 days,
Keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
Keep going. But I should feel less because, anxiety is there in particular. My wife started because of anxiety issues. So we should see, movement on that, right? We should see some positive movement there. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I honestly feel like it's going to start happening a lot faster.
Immediate,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the real test is when something challenging, because stress is always going to show up. The real test is when that stress shows up in your life and how you react, and then you're like, oh yeah, the practice is working.
Okay.
And
Wow.
that's why it's a practice.
It's a practice,
It's something
yeah.
that should be done consistently. It's the opposite of the AI practice clip, right? Like we're talking practice,
Practice
not
is
the game.
practice.
It's practice. But the reality is, just like what Faith said, if you don't have the practice, then when it's time to actually show up and something in life really kicks in, you'll be able to go back to that. You'll revert back to that, and it'll help you in dealing with it. That's what it does for anxiety,
Okay.
depression, so on and so forth.
Wow,
For me.
Wow, I mean, the fact that you both said, "Oh no, it's going to happen sooner." That's even better. So I'm on this, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are going to be on the journey. As a matter of fact, I'll even, by the time this goes out, I'll have already been practicing.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll be in position to give some more insight. But I love it. At the end of the 66 days, I will keep going. But also, I know anxiety will be better, right? Stress levels will be lower. I'll be making more money in my business. William will be at over a minute.
Well, the anxiety, well, hopefully,
I think so.
the anxiety won't be better. The stress won't be better. I believe that these are external things. I believe that you'll be able to deal with it better.
Okay.
Right? Like the anxiety anxiety is not something that we can mitigate. It's our reaction to it that changes it, right? Our reaction to stress, our reaction to, anxiety, our reaction to depression, like how we deal with the things that life throws us. That's the practice, right?
Okay.
That's when the practice comes into play.
This is really good for me to accept, right? Because I grew up, my father was an engineer, and it's like, okay, everything could be fixed, right? Everything, like with the right amount of code, the right, formula, it'll be fixed. But it's interesting, the way that I hear you talking about this, you both talking about this, is that this is about life. Life is life, right? Life is full of abundance. It's about our reaction to it, but understanding and appreciating our place and the control that we have over our reaction to it. And that's power. That's real
That's
power.
freedom.
That's freedom.
That's yoga.
Yeah,
That's
and
yoga.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, folks, love it. This was very insightful. Like, I'm telling you, I'm walking out feeling empowered. Like I feel awesome. And I want to end with this. Could you walk me through? We were talking about this, Q. Could we do it? Literally, this could be 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, whatever. Could you walk us through a great breathing exercise that someone listening who's never participated in yoga before could start with right now?
Oh, I should go.
No, you can lead us all.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
She's an
So
incredible teacher.
let's just find our way in a nice, open, comfortable seat.
Okay.
And just wherever if you're sitting in a chair, your feet can just touch the ground. If you're not, if you're sitting on the floor, if you're walking, you can stay standing and close your eyes. And just feel the shoulders soften away from your ears. And I want you to allow your spine to lengthen so you feel the crown of your head lifting towards the heavens. And just take an easy breath in through your nose. And as the breath travels in, I want you to imagine it moving into your heart center, your spine, your legs, your hands, your feet. And then as you exhale slowly out of your nose, allowing all of your stress, your worries, your pain, your suffering. And take a few more easy breaths in and out through your nose and imagine the breath nourishing you, caring for you, loving you, healing you. And as it exhales slowly, bringing calmness, steadiness, and grounding to not only your physical body, but into your life. Know that these next few seconds of just simply breathing is an opportunity for you to be with yourself, be in union with all that you are. Take another easy breath in. And this time, exhale out of your mouth. And the power in this is that you can do this anytime, anywhere, when you need it. Slowly open your eyes. Namaste.
You know, there have been two experiences I've had with what I would call, I guess, I don't even, maybe it's just a connection with myself. Mm-hmm. One was in Barbados, mm-hmm. where there was a meditation that we went through, and this was the second time.
Sweet.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is when you talked about rolling the shoulders back in the spine, I noticed how my body just became erect, yep.
Mm-hmm.
and then the breathing flowed
a
lot easier.
A lot better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Of
Thank you very much.
No, thank
you.
you.
Could you tell everyone how they can reach out and connect with you? Yeah. All your connects.
Yeah, all those places. So where you can find everything, of course, is at faithhunter.com. And yes, that is my real name. I was born with it. People ask me that all the time. So faithhunter.com. And you can also, if you want to practice with me and you're in DC, you can go to embracedc.com. And from faithhunter.com, there's all kinds of online classes if you're online and you want to connect. And I do have stuff free on YouTube. And I have old school podcasts on iTunes that started back, old podcast days. But if you want to connect with me on social, the best place to find me is on Instagram, and that is Spiritually Fly.
There you go. Yeah. Nice.
I like that.
Nice.
For myself, my website, quentinvennie.com, you'll find all things that I'm engaged and involved in, the articles that I've written about yoga, about mindfulness, about anxiety and mental health and addiction. My book, Strong in the Broken Places, a memoir of addiction and redemption through wellness, sold everywhere books are sold. Social media, I'm on all things Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Quentin Vennie, everything. Try to make it as easy as possible. Yeah.
Cool. And I think a podcast coming soon. We'll see.
And a podcast coming soon.
Coming soon. There you go. All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
William, as always. Thanks, man.
Thank you, William.
Appreciate you, family.
Yeah.